Hi, everybody. Welcome to Squared Up. I'm Bill Swinford.
And I'm Monica Daniels.
This is our podcast from the Swinford Media Group that we enjoy bringing to you regularly here on the Swinford Media Group channels and social media and all the different places you can either watch or listen to podcast. And we're glad that you have found us. We're grateful to those who keep coming back for more, and especially after that last edition when we kind of freaked some people out.
Yeah, we were getting some feedback on that was a little rough.
Aggressive.
A little aggressive, yeah.
I was threatened to be punched.
Right? There was some of that going on.
By women who did not like the idea of me letting Monica get away, and they thought from the way we teased it, somehow, I don't know how they got this idea.
Yeah.
They thought from the way we teased it that we had broken up, or that our relationship had broken up. But instead, it was a breakup. It's all about my breakup with
Sugar.
With Sugar.
That you cheated on, yeah. Which
yeah.
Which happens, right? It happens to all of us.
Right.
Yeah.
And yet I'm still trying to follow this now, and I'm finding that it's having a positive effect on me. I found that I certainly crave sugar a lot less. Mm-hmm. And I haven't been back to Goofy Snow. I haven't ordered another one of those obnoxious snow cones. And I've had a couple times there where I realized, more like I realized after the fact, that I was ingesting sugar because I hadn't thought about it. Mm. But, every now and then, like, for instance, today, you were having a very sugary drink.
I was.
And you offered it to me.
I did.
So in that case,
and you're strong for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. I took a little sip, but it was nice.
Mm-hmm.
So we were out today. We are actually shooting this podcast for the first time in the afternoon. So this is kind of an experiment. This is a scientific experiment to see if we're better or worse off in the middle of the afternoon
or the mornings. Yeah,
or the mornings, because usually after lunch, if you're like me, after lunch, I'm like, trying to get through the workday.
A nap time for
and I can feel it a little bit right now, but there's something about being with Tom and in this place just makes me feel alive.
Yeah.
And
energetic and fun and
Tom is always
creative.
Tom seems always to be the same guy, right?
He
so
is.
consistent.
He's very consistent. Morning or afternoon, Tom is Tom.
We come see Tom, and he's got that great laugh of his and his stories to share, and he always shares. He always seems to enjoy our stories, and so what a pleasure. Tom is flying solo again. Sophia was with us last time, my daughter. Abbie was traveling. Abbie's now back, but she had a family commitment today, so we'll get her back soon.
Yeah.
One thing that I want her to talk about when she comes back is the visit that she and my son Ross made yesterday to Murfreesboro. They were going through Murfreesboro on their way to Chester, and they stopped at Faye Restaurant in Murfreesboro. Have you heard of this place?
I've heard of it, and I've seen some pictures online.
Yeah.
But I have not had a chance to visit. She says it was a great place.
They say it's very, very nice.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, you don't have to necessarily dress up to go. It's not overly formal, but it's very, very nice. And so I'm looking forward to her telling us about that, and I'd like you and I to go check that out sometime soon. We can report back on that. Where we have been over the last week was we went to our first St. Louis Cardinal game together.
Yeah, that was so fun. Love the Cardinals.
That was last Thursday evening.
We got some great pictures, had some good ballpark food.
Always. Oh, and we also, we walked with Sophia down. I mean, okay, so my one gripe about Busch Stadium, the new Busch Stadium, it's not easy to get from the top to the bottom and then back up to the top in that place.
It's not.
We were at the top. I mean, we had the cheap seats, and we worked our way all the way down to the bottom where the Build-A-Bear booth is. And she's always wanted to build a bear there. She goes, and she has all these Cardinal-themed stuffed animals. This time she actually got a Fredbird doll and had that made. And, with those Build-A-Bears, you put your own little packet of a nice scent in there, and a little heartbeat. You can even put a little recording of a voice recording in there. And she had that made, and she's just turned 16 years old, but she still loves that. And so it was fine. It felt fine going down, but then the problem was going back up.
We got a little lost, and a little winded, and finding the escalator that goes up.
Well, that's
was
just
kind
it.
of a
So what
chore.
happened, we went down on the escalators, and then by the time we were ready to go back up, they had switched all the escalators. It was hard. It was either hard for us to get up, to get back upstairs because they had switched all the escalators to down. So when we tried to go back up, there was no going back up by an escalator because it was late enough in the game that all the escalators were just going to be taking people out of the stadium, as opposed to people like us that were. You're feeling it, aren't you? You got a little sleepy yawn going. So yes, it is 2:30 in the afternoon, and
We just stuffed ourselves at Olive Garden.
yes, it was good. We had a wonderful server there.
Yeah.
Anyway, she took good care of us, and we probably ate too much. Anyway, so we had to take the stairs to get back up there. That was kind of brutal,
It was.
but otherwise,
Work off that ballpark, Frank.
Yeah.
By going up the stairs, get a
Right,
good
exactly.
exercise. I was pretty winded by the time I got to that top
but you were a
floor.
Cardinal fan going in. It's not like it was a new thing for you.
No, I remember the old stadium. There's a lot of stairs and steps, and
Yeah, and you.
I enjoy the new stadium a lot. I think it's a little bit of a better experience for me.
Sure. I'm still kind of learning it because I realize I've probably only gone to games, and we call it the new stadium. It's been around for more than a decade now.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
a lot more than a decade.
A lot more than that.
How many times I've actually been there? It's hard to know, but it's not enough to really know my way around that well. So we survived that, and then we went on up to visit your family in the Macomb area.
I had a funeral to go to, which isn't, the best circumstances to touch base, but I got to see people that we haven't seen in a long time. You've met for the first time. You got to meet my dad for the first time.
Yeah.
And that ended up being a good experience for
I
you.
hope so.
And
I
my
mean, well, it was
stepmom-
for me. I hope it was for everybody else.
It was.
Yeah.
I got a lot of great feedback,
Okay.
how much everybody loved you. So,
Oh,
Good for Bill. Good for Bill.
so
That's
Bill,
good.
you did a good job
Okay, I
with
was wondering
the first experience.
wondering how that would
hi,
happen.
folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks. I enjoyed it too. I mean, your family's delightful. And again, it was in the midst of a family funeral, and yet they took time out to be very welcoming and kind, and got to meet your brothers and just great people. So I look forward to seeing them again under different circumstances. But
Happier circumstances.
it's a long. So you grew up in that area, Macomb, Bushnell, actually.
Yeah, that's
Very small town near Macomb.
Yeah, it's about 5.5, 6 hours up north to the west. So a lot of small towns, a lot of corn, a lot of soybeans.
Go through Springfield, coming and going,
Yeah.
and it is quite a trip back home. But we got it done, and while all of that was happening, Carterville was celebrating, and I wanted to mention a few of the things that have happened since the last time we were together, and one of them is the fact that the Carterville girls softball team won the state championship, and we wanted to give them a shout out because they were right there on the front of our Carterville Courier, this latest edition.
Well, that's exciting.
By the time this airs, there will be a new edition of the Courier out, but this edition, dated June the 6th, shows them as the state champs. They won the Class 2A IHSA softball title for the first time since 2016. Now, they have a pretty good program. They won it in 2016, but the record this year, 38-1. And what's extra impressive about that is they lost their first game, and then they won 38 straight games to get to 38-1. And even more impressively, when they got to state, they played last year's state title winner in the semis, and then they beat the North Boone Vikings from Poplar Grove in the championship game. They only were able to score 2 runs in those 2 games, and yet they won both of those games, which means they shut out the competition in both games. Their pitchers, let me give a shout out to their pitchers, Taryn Ford and Cadence Phillips, both pitched shutouts in the state finals. And so congratulations to Coach Will Cappy and that entire program for an impressive season.
That is impressive.
And, of course, Carterville, one of our great towns here in Williamson County. We publish the Courier this is actually the oldest paper in our newspaper group. We've been publishing the Courier going back 23 years. And the Independent, the Heron Independent, followed a few years later, and then Riley and I started the Marion Star 10 years ago. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I can't ever remember without looking at that little volume number on the front. But so congratulations to them. Did you play softball when you were a kid?
Yeah, I did actually. I wasn't the best player of softball player.
What position did you play?
I was the shortstop.
Well, you're short.
I am, and I'm short. But my stepdad was the coach, so he put me as.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it does a lot
Your
of
dad's
pressure.
the coach.
So he had me be the shortstop, and
Yeah.
I was not meant for.
He saw something in you that he saw.
Nobody else saw, including me.
Yeah.
I probably would have been better fit for spelling bees than I was for softball.
Yeah,
but,
well, like my dad
Yeah.
coached my flag football team and made me the quarterback. And that wasn't necessary. I have a terrible arm. I have no upper body strength.
right. So I'm much better in the bleachers cheering on the softball teams than I am out on the field playing.
Well,
That's for sure.
so you were shortstop and then you just stopped.
Then I just stopped.
Stopped.
I was just like, why?
Yeah.
Why are you putting us all through this?
Yeah, it's not for everybody, but those that do play.
I'm a fan of watching the game for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, congratulations to the Carterville girls softball team on a terrific season, 38-1.
Yeah.
So I see you have your book again.
I do. So we've been going through a book together here on the podcast. It's Dr. Carolyn Leaf, Who Swished Off Your Brain, Solving the Mystery of He Said, She Said. So as I was looking through the book, different things to talk about, one of the things that came up, and I think we may have touched on a little bit last time, is it talks about how typically a lot of people tend to blame our genetics on the choices that we make, like our genetics control us, whereas science has proved that the way we choose to think and the choices that we make actually shape our biology and not the other way around. It says that cells have been shown scientifically to respond to our thoughts and actions, and that it can empower us to take responsibility for what we think and what we say, as well as the impact that we have on the people around us. It really, in our male-female relationships, it just sort of helps us to kind of take a step back, and to look at our own actions and our words and how it might be affecting the other person, and to kind of open up some communication and some choices there and how we respond.
Yeah, because I think there's a couple things there. One of the things being that we can kind of convince ourselves that we're turning into our parents sometimes, right? And we'll start to recognize either maybe our looks are becoming similar to theirs as we go through life, or they have which
I have to laugh at that one.
which is one of those things that's just startling. When that happens, it's just startling. And people say, well, you look like your dad. I was like, I don't look like my dad. And then all of a sudden you realize, yeah, you kind of do look like your dad.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you knew my dad, you would see the resemblance. And it's so different than when I was younger. Just kind of a thing. So there is some genetics, of course, built into our physical appearance that would be affecting that. But so I think then, and maybe some habits or some attributes to our personality or something that reminds us of our parents, and all of a sudden we just kind of start falling into this trap of, well, dad was this way, so I'm just going to be that way.
Right.
Or mom was that person, or granddad. Or, as Tom was mentioning earlier, if my heritage, the lineage I come from, this is the way my people act, and so I'm going to act that way.
I'm Irish, I'm Italian, I'm this, whatever it may be, my background.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to
And
say.
you can use it as an excuse for bad behavior. Sometimes, it's not all bad. Sometimes, you can take a lot of pride too in that and say, these are my people. This is how we do things. And that's not a bad thing. But as you mentioned, I think we have a lot more responsibility for the direction our brain goes, our behavior goes, than we sometimes want to take on.
Exactly. So, yeah, and I think that's a really great point too, that like we don't have to necessarily live on autopilot, and we can make choices and decisions, and and sometimes not necessarily go by our feelings. If our feelings are going one way, and we can kind of do some assessment and be self-aware, and and take, if I'm feeling tired and maybe my emotions are a little bit more sensitive, I can be self-aware of that and not, make a choice just to settle in and be patient and not listen to what my feelings are saying.
Right. And I think also we can do this to the people in our lives too, right? Where we start to equate them with other members of their family or certain, again, heritage or certain things where we just kind of put people into categories and say, well, this is just who you are, or this is who you're becoming, or this is who you're going to be. When we do have a lot of choices, we are given free will to choose, and we can, even if it's not something that we're proud of, and it's certainly something that we can change direction on.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's good stuff.
It is. I love it.
We're going to keep working our way through this book. It's called Who Switched Off Your Brain? Solving the Mystery of He Said, She Said, by
Dr. Carolyn Leaf.
Dr. Carolyn Leaf. Okay.
She's great, yeah.
So you can pick that up yourself if you like. We recommend it, and we'll keep sharing from that book. A few things I wanted to mention today that are coming up. Big one, Father's Day.
Yeah?
Yeah. So this is going to be posted before Father's Day. So we want to remind you, you still got time. Dads deserve a gift too.
They do. Absolutely, they do.
Kids, are you listening, kids?
Make them a meal. Take them out.
Yeah, dads don't need a lot.
Mow the yard for them.
Yeah.
Buy them a new cologne. Dior.
Okay. Yeah.
Come to Dillard's and see me.
Or a subscription to the Marion Star. Or, since we're shilling here, we might as well just throw everything out there that we. No, listen.
Look out for our dads.
Listen,
yeah.
I think your idea of just do something to take the load off your dad for a day, even.
Let him know that you appreciate him.
Just love him.
Love him. Yeah.
Nice,
dads like it
thoughtful
too.
cards. Dads love that. I love a thoughtful card.
Yeah. So
spend some time with him.
So this is talking about he said, she said, and Father's Day and different things. Here we go. Yeah. So one thing that my coworkers and I have noticed in the retail business is when we're coming up on a holiday like Mother's Day or Valentine's Day, that exact day we have a lot of shoppers come through. Men are coming in the day of
wow.
Mother's Day, the day of Valentine's Day, and buying for their wives or their moms or significant other sisters. However, on Father's Day, it's like crickets because all of the women have already been in and made their purchase.
The women have been on top of it.
The women just get it knocked out in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Better late than never. That's what you need to remember.
It's better late than never. Like I don't no judgment. We're just noticed like when we're doing shifts and
Is that this week? That's always the question. Is that coming this Sunday or is it this weekend?
It's happening. Yeah. So
and it's Thursday or Friday already.
Yeah. No, it sneaks up on you. They definitely sneak up on you, and
sure.
It's a common issue, right? If this happens to you, whether you're the recipient or the giver, if it happens to you, it's a very common thing. People have busy lives, but we love our parents and we want to honor them. And so,
Absolutely.
If you are blessed enough to have your father or a father figure here in your life, make sure they know that you're thinking of them this Sunday, June the 16th. Okay, for Father's Day. So another thing or two that I wanted to mention that's coming up that I thought was pretty cool. One is Friday the 21st at Heron City Library. Our friend Lisa Carnegie, who runs the Heron History Room, is doing a slideshow called In Bloody Williamson. It's based on an old book that was written back during the, right after the Bloody Williamson days, which is 100 years ago. And when we talk about Bloody Williamson, we're talking about, the days of the Heron Massacre, the gangster days of Williamson County. A lot of people are fascinated by that. It starts at 2:00 at Heron City Library. I've gone to some of these special history presentations they do there. They have a little meeting room, always a good turnout of people. And anybody's welcome to come and learn more about the heritage, both the good and the bad of our history.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, if you're available, you'd love it. We'll see if you can get there, but I'll probably try to get over there. 2:00 on June 21st.
You're my favorite storyteller about the Bloody Williamson history.
Yeah, but I still got a lot that I'm learning. A lot of it I forget.
Do you?
And
we kind of drove the path that history took.
Well,
and you were telling me the story.
The Heron Massacre.
Late at night, and you're telling me the story.
It's kind of creepy. And through Crenshaw.
Yeah, and you really had me on the edge of my seat looking around.
It's really a terrible story.
It is.
What happened in those days. Hard to believe that, as I think about my childhood in Heron, that there were a lot of people still running around that had experienced it as children and young adults, had been around in those days, and really people didn't, even when I was a kid, didn't really necessarily like to talk about the Heron Massacre. When they hit close to their anniversary a few years ago, they did an effort out at the Heron Cemetery to look for these unmarked graves of some of these scabs, is what they called them, non-union miners that had been abducted from the mine and taken and punished for coming down and working at the mine during the strike, and they were punished to their death. And it's a terrible story, but there's a lot of lessons to be learned. So of course we don't want to repeat that again, that we end up being kinder to each other. But it kind of, that then led to a lot of lawlessness that ended up bringing in the Ku Klux Klan in an effort to restore lawfulness, because the authorities that couldn't get it done, and just a lot of things that fortunately, as they went through Prohibition, fortunately, eventually died out during the Depression. So much safer, better place to be down here. Now we can look back and again study the lessons to be learned from those days. There's a pollinator party. This is going to be our first pollinator party that we've gone to together. I don't think I've ever been to a pollinator party, but
I've never been to a pollinator party.
Well, this is going to be at the Heron.
Even know.
Well, no, we don't know for sure what it is, but we think it has something to do with flowers.
Okay.
And they have beautiful flowers at the Harrison Bruce Historical Village on the campus of John A. Logan College.
Okay.
We were just talking about this place the other day.
Yeah.
Because they have the Harrison House there, which is kind of a reconstruction of one of the grand old houses of Heron, one of the first grand houses of Heron. They have the Purdy Schoolhouse, which is a one-room schoolhouse. It's a very neat thing to visit. A lot of school kids get to go out there every year and see that. They've got another cabin or two, and just a nice little. If you've never experienced this, if you like places like New Salem, Illinois, where Lincoln lived for a time, or other places that are like a walk back into history,
like a little time capsule.
Yeah. That's the kind of experience you can have there.
I look forward to it. Yeah.
And you can learn about flowers, apparently. So this is on Sunday, June the 30th from 1:30 to 3:30, okay? So that's coming up at the end of the month. Two other people in my family that I want to mention. Shout out, Sophia Swinford turned 16.
Happy 16.
She turned 16 on June 8th. She was still celebrating as of June 9th.
Oh, you got to celebrate the entire month of your birthday. It's her birthday month,
She had parties happening everywhere, and so many friends, and she got her driver's license that easy because she had done so well in driver's education. She didn't have to take a driving test. She was relieved for that, so she's licensed and ready to go. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sophia.
She's a sweet 16.
She is.
Another sweet young woman in my family is Katie Swinford, who's my daughter-in-law, married to Riley, and Riley's the editor of our publications. Katie is his beautiful wife that we've known since they had their first date on the night that Riley graduated from high school. They had met each other at church camp and been talking, and she came over to his high school graduation, and that kind of counts as their first date. She's a year younger than him, so she had another year at Harrisburg High School while he went on to SIU. She eventually went on to SIU, got her degree, got actually a couple of degrees, and is now a physical therapy assistant working in Harrisburg most days. And but the best part of my year so far is the announcement that Riley and Katie are expecting.
Yes, we're so excited to hear that.
And they've announced that to the world, and so we wanted to make sure that we threw that in.
You're going to be a grandpa.
I'm going to be a grandpa. I'm going to be my first grandchild, and we are going to have so much lead up to this thing. I mean, so much excitement leading up to this thing. She's due December 1st, and so we've got a stretch of time. We'll have little announcements along the way, including the gender. And other updates.
She looks beautiful.
She beautiful.
Always is beautiful, but I'm really happy.
Yeah, she's glowing, and all reports, everything is very good. The baby's healthy and growing stronger every day. So thank you, Katie, for bringing this into our life. And thank you, Riley, because you had something to do with it, too, the way I understand it. So we are thrilled for them, thrilled for us. Anything else that you wanted to mention before we go? We had a few things that we had discussed in previous podcasts, including the wink and the blink thing. We've gotten some comments on that, the winking and the blinking.
I think one comment I heard was depends on the person. So that's part of it. And
right. Somebody else just said the winking is just creepy. Stop it.
Someone else said that.
Someone
else I was talking to was mentioning like it was something that was more common when she was younger. You saw a lot more of that in communication, and now you just don't see that in communication as much. You know.
So I'm more old school. I'm an old school communicator.
Yeah. So, and I think just today you winked at someone, and I did a blink at someone.
Yeah.
It
was a guy.
It's a personality.
I winked at a guy. Yeah, he seemed fine with it.
He did.
Matter of fact, it was Dennis Smith. We'll go ahead and say it. Dennis Smith, the manager of Little Nashville next door to our offices. Dennis, whose dad to the owner, saw him today and gave him a wink, and he may have winked back. I'm not sure. He's a great guy. And since I mentioned that, I think we've mentioned Little Nashville is back open.
Oh,
Go check it out.
We had a nice time there.
Yeah, we went on opening night, and they're open Thursday through Sunday evenings. And great music still, great food. Enjoyed our food.
It's nicer than ever. So definitely need to make a trip up there.
So Aaron Smith, the owner, got it back open. His father, Dennis, is managing the place for him, and they're doing a great job. So go check that out. Okay, Tom, you got anything to add?
I don't have much either. I think you guys have done well.
Have we covered it?
I think you've covered it. We still don't know anything about the blink.
No.
We know about the wink. We're trying to figure that one out, but we'll work on that one. Just keep that going for a while.
The blink.
The blink is kind of such a new thing.
Well,
it's catching on, I think.
Yeah, people start doing that just for fun.
I think I'm the only one who does that. So I was kind of trying to analyze myself a little bit, like, why do I do that? And because when I get into where, someone comes up and I'm taking care of a customer and I start problem solving, what their needs are and how to best accommodate them, I start to think. And my thinking face, people start kind of looking at me like they're trying to read me.
Right.
And I just do the blink just to let them know, like, okay,
you're
like,
still alive.
You're good.
You're
We're
still
good.
Yeah,
I'm still here. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So
good. Okay, so that's what it means. If you see her, it means you're good. Everything's good.
We're all good.
Nothing to worry about.
And blink at her. Blink at her.
Blink back.
Blink back.
Let her know how it feels to get blinked at. Thanks again for listening and watching and being with us on our Squared Up podcast. We will come at you with more real soon. For Tom Mann, I'm Bill Swinford.
And I'm Monica Daniels.
And thanks again. Take care.